Right. Yeah, Steve. Looking back on this whole 4 days that we've spent, which is important to both parties, I understand that. It's been a learning experience for me, but it's also opened up some doors that I wouldn't have dreamed that maybe the city had gone to. Being a former city employee, I appreciate city staff. I know, like Ms. Pigler declared, that a lot of times there's no winning argument on anything when you're dealing with city government. But I do believe if this site was this important, and it must be for us to be in this position after being here for 4 days, and it going on since 2007 or however long this project's going on. I believe if I would be in the engineering department, that if I would have had as many complaints as they said they had, if Mr. Reed wasn't in control of making any compliance on the VCA, that I believe there was one statement Mr. Brown said early on that just left a bad taste in my mouth, and that was a drive-by inspection. And this thing is so important, which I think it is for the community, for the neighbors that travel in and out of that area. I believe if it was important enough to have 20 meetings, it would be important enough to me to be on that site more than one time. And that's the thing that I've got a big problem with. I believe, and don't take this wrong, Mr. Hurley, I think you were naive in maybe complying with the VCA. There was more to it than probably what you thought it was. I know you stated that you wanted to get along with the project. You wanted to work at things out. And I wish it had come to that. We wouldn't be at this point right now. But I believe both parties are at fault. Maybe some being naive on your part on the VCA, and maybe depending on other people to enforce the VCA. And that's my feeling on this whole subject.
All right, are there any other comments on the item of arbitrary capriciousness?
Yes. I feel like that, yes, Mr. Hurley has not met some of his milestones, maybe none of his milestones. I feel like also, though, according to the VCA, that by the city not responding in a 6-day window and have proof of that response, that in my opinion the VCA would be null and void due to the fact that the city did not do their part. And how can you ask Mr. Hurley's company to do his part and the city not do their part? That's a bad taste in my mouth. The one more point I want to make, and I'm not picking on the engineering department, but I've had this conversation before about the engineering department. If the engineering department, like Dennis said, is trying to make this thing work and trying to, they're the first impression that a developer sees for the city of Marshtown. I feel like if that be the case, then it needs to be handled on a more personable level, okay? I feel like the city is wrong and somewhat malice by waiting 44 days into not having a certificate. The sinkhole's closed, but by waiting 44 days to acknowledge until then 44 days later, I feel like the city's wrong. You can take and pick the telephone up, and if you represent the city, this is the picture we need to be painting to the city, citizens, and to the developers. I understand you've got your sinkhole closed. I understand it's been done right. We don't have the certificate, care to check on it and see if it's lacking somewhere. No, that's not Jeff Branham's job to do. I understand that. But is that the personal thing to do? You know, you can look at either side of that. I feel like, yes, that is the personal thing to do. I feel like by waiting 44 days later before making that point that the city is 100% wrong. I don't see that being the right thing for the city to do. So yes, I do see fault in both parties. But if they're controlling if the city is controlling the delivery time or the response time, how can you meet a milestone that they are controlling you getting the information back? You know, my biggest complaint with the city in general is the fact that nothing is handled by telephone. You know, if we don't need telephones anymore, we're going to use emails. Let's take them all out of the city building and throw them away. You know, it's very simple. If you just go, pick the phone up, I've rehearsed that 100 times. In 30 seconds or less, you can make that phone call and ask that question. And no, that's not Jeff's job, but is that the right picture to paint of the city to the developer? And my answer is yes, it is. So yeah, I have a problem. I think the city is wrong, and I do think Mr. Hurley's wrong. How do you put a value on which one's the wrongest? You can't do it. I mean, which one's worth the more? I can't do that. You know, I think probably the best thing to do is dismiss this thing completely, 0 fines, pick up the pieces, dust your pants off. You know, what I've heard here today, but you know, in the last 4 days, both parties is wrong. You know, but like I say, is the city more wrong? Is Mr. Hurley more wrong? I can't answer that question. But I do think we need to dust our pants off, pick up the pieces, start a new day tomorrow, and see if we can't do what's the right thing to do. You know, no, it's not Mr. Banner's job to call, but is it the right thing? In my opinion, it is the right thing.